popping up YouTube.
I jump started, bro.
Yeah. No issue. You can introduce your audience if you want. Boom.
Right.
Going live now. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're live, guys. Welcome to this very special video because today we have none other than Richard Hart back again. You might have seen our last video with Richard Hart. You can.
Did his feed just drop for real? Nice. Connection interrupted. Epic. Hello, everyone. This is the live stream. I'm Richard Hart. You may know me from such hits as "We're going to 20K by Christmas 2017." Came true. Or 8,500, 2-year bear market's coming. Now we're at like 3,700. So I guess I'm good at predicting the price. Yay. I will try and find out where Ivan has gone. His stream dropped as soon as we started. Oh, my dog's coming to visit. How apropos. Hope you guys like the TikTok of little feet. Oh, that's nice. It's just gonna advertise the link to everybody. This is a really good stream system. Between you and me, I prefer Google Hangouts. I guess I'll just answer questions from chat until Ivan's internet's back alive. Where's the hide button? I'm not going to hide it. All right, chat. Let's see what amazing questions you geniuses have today. Puppy, please quit running laps. You're fit already, buddy. You don't need exercise. Richard, get back into streaming. You should try and do it. A long format once a week doesn't need to be 8 hours. Thanks, Kyle. Based Richard, looking forward to your red-pilled commentary. It'll be much better when my interlocutor is here. Fancy word for like dude you're talking to. I wish my brain was just like yours. I can't even keep a quarter of what you know in my brain. Damn, dude, you need a bigger brain. I'm just gonna skip some, like the hello from XYZ country. BTC still being talked down while Goldman Sachs readies their trading desk. I think they may already have a desk. I just don't know that it's doing anything. What else? Am I allowed to talk and chat even if I don't know crypto? Yep, most people do. As usual, expiring comments from the internet. We have some IOTA fanboys in here. I'm sorry for your guys' 94% loss where almost every single one of you that ever bought has lost money. So very sorry. I think it might be absolutely everyone since it's been on market. You'd have to pull up the chart. Talk about Bitcoin Cash fork. I'll wait for Ivan. IOTA, I'll wait for Ivan. Somebody's talking about forking my Bitcoin fork. I'm forking BitcoinHEX to BitcoinHEX SV the day it goes live. Nice. Good luck writing that claim tool that's closed source, buddy. It's a nightmare. Backed. They're just delayed. That's like the actually buy spot Bitcoin and give it to people, whereas the ETFs and such, not even an ETF, but the futures are just cash settled. No one has to actually deliver the coins. He will definitely keep promoting his BitcoinHEX. Yes, I will. I think the price could go higher than Bitcoin, so yeah, I'm gonna promote that. Yeah, let's see if Ivan came back to life. Nope. When does the show start? Well, a few minutes ago, but Ivan's stream died. When Bitcoin sporks. Month and a half. You never mention your personal motivation for launching BitcoinHEX. Well, all cryptocurrencies is game theory for economics plus trustlessness and censorship resistance. So if you can already get trustlessness and censorship resistance by piggybacking any reliable blockchain with high hash rate, of which there are many, then all that actually matters is the game theory. And in Bitcoin, all you can do is send and receive, maybe buy or sell on exchange. And the new coins that get created, which in Bitcoin are about 4.17% per year, they get given to miners to secure the network. However, if you're piggybacking someone else's network where a bunch of other noobs or smart people or funding the trustlessness and high hash rate, then you can save all of your inflation to pay holders instead of miners. And then, so for instance, in BitcoinHEX, if only 10% of people stake, they get 40% per year more coins, 39.6% per 360 days. That's quite good. Hey, Ivan's back.
Hey, Richard, you hear me?
Hello. Yeah, I don't see your screen though.
Nice.
I got your voice, but I don't have your video.
Yes. It will be back in a minute.
Yeah. So you know we're on my stream live, so.
Nice. Okay,
hey, I see you.
Good.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Just internet disappeared. Now it's back. So hopefully we can go live on my channel as well. I'm not sure how far you've come with your stream. If you've introduced
we could start from scratch, man.
All right. Let's see. Okay, so I'm starting to stream now. I'm gonna recheck everything so it's working fine, and then we will start from the beginning. And guys, if you already see me, which you might already do, we had some technical issues. Now we're back with Richard here on the channel, and we're going to discuss the bear market, what is actually going on. Many people are wondering, are we going to 1K? Are we going to bull market next year? That is a very big topic. And Richard had some good predictions last year. So many people want, of course, to hear his opinion about what is happening very soon, this year and the next year. And yeah, it seems to be working fine. Guys, please confirm in the chat as well. So Richard, very welcome to the show. As I told guys before, you was on the channel previously, last year. Actually, or maybe it was this year. And also we met in Stockholm at Bloxpo. So a quick recap, what have you been doing? You seem to be losing weight. That is good. Actually, I've gained some weight, so maybe you can give me some tip. But what has happened to Richard Hart since we met last time in Stockholm?
Well, I've been a bear since we had our chat at $8,500 in February. And the price went from our chat at 8,500 down to 58.55. Yes. And then it bounced up to, I believe, 11.7. So your maximum gain on that chat was 40-50%. And then your maximum loss was, we're at 3,700. We've been down to 3,500. Your maximum loss was 100 plus %. I mean, if you were short, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you would have done much better selling everything when I said the 2-year bear market was coming than, hoping that it wasn't the case. And it is the case. So with bear markets, if you chart them, what you see is a symmetry between the length that it takes to run up, or rather in the case of a bear market, the length it takes to run down, and then the length it takes to come back up. So the longer that you flop about and don't make higher highs, and you just keep making lower lows, or even staying range bound, it just extends the amount of time it's going to take before you reach all-time high again, because there's a symmetry. It may not look like a V, it may look like a really, really weird U, pretty much. Now this bear market was unlike any other bear market that you'll see in Bitcoin's history, in that there was very, very strong defense at the 6,000 area, 5,700, 5,800, 6,100. And I believe some people were trying to defend the $100 billion market cap, which has some relevance to being listed on futures. So it was very odd to have a horizontal line of support at 6,000 and the most pure looking dead cat you've ever seen. Every single bounce off of that line was smaller and smaller and smaller until the trapdoor opened up and you fall right out of it. And you know, it would have been nice to get a short in at 6,000 when support broke based on a retest. The retest never came. I mean, it blew right through 5K, blew through 4K. There was no chance to short the retest at 6. It just never came. I mean, the fact that you could have shorted 5 and 4 and 6 and then covered at like 35 it's pretty harsh, right? So the
you're
longer
describing the late events, that the price has been stable at 6,000 and went between 6 and 7,000, and now it's finally dropped to 4,000. And I remember last year on the stream you were talking about this bear market that would continue for several years. Many people did not believe you. Many people were skeptical. I myself thought that we would go up before that, but we're still in the bear market. So when you say that the bear market is not like any other bear market, what do you mean exactly? Because Bitcoin has dropped 80+% previously several times, almost like 5 times. So what exactly is special about this bear market?
The artificial support at 6K. You know, if you get a 58.55 low wick off of a giant bubble burst in February, you should get more lower wicks shortly thereafter, because someone or groups of people were holding the price higher than it naturally wanted to be.
Who is that? Who is holding? Is it Tether? Is it Bitmain? Who is involved?
You don't know. I mean, if you were sitting at the exchange and received the wire transfers, you would know. You know, these weren't leveraged players. I can tell when the leveraged players get back in. The people that were holding it up and dumping it, they're spot players, right? So if you're a fund and you bought a lot of coins early in the year at a very high valuation, people have the right to pull money out of your fund. And if they pull money out because they're not happy with their 85% loss, then you have to sell something. And if a lot of what you have is illiquid shit coins that have no market depth, you can't sell those without destroying the market and receiving almost no money in return. So the only thing that you can sell are things with liquidity, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so the fact that all of these shit coins and ICOs pumped so hard in funds, which is a reason Ethereum and Bitcoin move up and down at the same time. They're like 0.9 something correlated. Only assholes that run market cap weighted index funds are responsible for that, because there's no fucking reason that two competing products should rise and fall at the same time. They should act inverse of each other. But because these dickheads won't choose the winner and make a real decision with their money, they just invest in a basket because they're too stupid to know good when they see it. We have everything moving up and down at the same time. So as long as those guys have to dump when people pull out money, or have to dump other coins because some other coin dropped, it's like, you know, it sucks. So if you like trade altcoins, you're not just trading the altcoin chart, you're also trading the Bitcoin chart, because if Bitcoin dies, your altcoin dies. If Bitcoin pumps, your altcoin pumps. And so whatever chart you're looking at, you also have to guess right the Bitcoin chart as well. It makes trading alts harder. So like the free leverage and free extra volatility is nice, but having to predict 2 charts is harder than predicting 1. You could have just taken more leverage and traded the Bitcoin, in effect. Yeah. So I think we're going to go lower. People only buy crypto because it's going up in price. Because there's no real use case for this stuff. You can't do anything with it. You can't buy anything with it. It's terrible for using. It's nice when the price goes up. That's its core value is appreciation, and historically it appreciates very well. If the price has gone down 85%, who's in a rush to buy that? Not mom and pop. They buy things that are near the top, not near the bottom. They want to buy something that's gone up a lot and they think it's going to go up a lot more. They don't want to buy something that's dying. You know, everyone that bought 10K, 6K, they're wrecked. 3,700, right? Why not 1170? So there's 2 ways you could look at this recent drop. You could say, okay, we only normally drop 45% since the bear, right? 40 to 47% since the bear. In the bull, we'd only drop about 40%. That's one way of looking at it. But the problem with that is you can keep getting this. You can get another 40, another 40, another 40. For instance, a coin that's dropped 90% is really just a coin that dropped 80% and then dropped in half again. That's how the math works. So it's much better to kind of look at this from a perspective of usually these bear markets go and retest the previous high of the last bubble, which would be 1175 on BitfineX price. Mm-hmm. So the top of the last bubble in 2014 was 1175 on Finex, and I wouldn't mind seeing that price. And I don't know why we wouldn't go there. Now that being said, you might have to wait, might never get there. You know, I don't know why we held 6K for so long at a weird horizontal line. So, you know, what's the rush? If people only buy this stuff when the price is going up, is the price going up? No? Okay, what's the rush?
And what are you currently doing yourself? Are you shorting it? Are you taking action, or you're just stepping out of the market before you're comfortable enough that we've reached the previous peak, which was at 1100?
1175. I would say, you know, I've been telling people for a long time, if you want to perhaps be tax advantaged and protect the fiat value of your stack and not have a lot of counterparty risk, you can use my Bitmex link, get a 10% discount, and short using leverage, right? And then you don't have to give them the whole stack, and you don't have to convert to fiat, and you don't have to give any personal info, right? So you just send some Bitcoin over there, short the number of contracts that you want to protect your fiat value, right? So if you've got 100 Bitcoins, you're going to short, 100 times the price, right? So if the price is 3,700, you're going to short 370K. So now when the price goes down, you make new coins. You know, in a bear market, when the price goes down, people that are short their stack, they just make more coins. And then when they finally close their short at the bottom, they end up with a lot more coins and get to, you know, enjoy the ride up. If you do that any other way, if you do it on a normal exchange without leverage, and you just leave your money there and the exchange gets hacked, well, then you lose your whole stack. But if you use some leverage, low leverage, right? Like 5x leverage means that you could not have to reinvest to defend your short if there's a 20% move. So, you know, maybe you think Bitcoin could bounce 50% in the bear. Hasn't done it in a while, but maybe it could. Well, then you would just short, you know, less than 2x, and then you'd only be risking half your coins to probably the best counterparty there is with the most liquidity, that's never been hacked, that has a real cold wallet, that never, you can only withdraw once a day. So, you know, if you're smart and you shorted 10K, like I've been saying in my calls channel on Telegram, Richard's calls on Telegram, you know, or the bounce at 8,500, 8,600, or the next bounce at 70, whatever, you've got more coins now because you've been sitting in fiat. And if we get down to 1170 and it's 3,700 now, you're going to make 2x the coins that you have currently if you sell or short. They're both options, right? But there's tax advantages to using futures products because they're taxed differently. So I'm not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer, consult your own professionals. I can just tell you that selling spot is different than taking a short position. And one of them has better tax consequences than the other. Now, should you be shorting the bottom with high leverage? No, we could still get a bounce, but where, right? How high is it going to go? Last time we had this conversation, it dumped like 30, 40%. I would wonder what the chart would do now, lol. It'd be funny if it dumps 30% on our call.
And so what needs to happen for us to go up again? Because many people already right now are capitulating. You see people on Twitter being depressed and really leaving crypto. And this is exactly what happened in the last bear market in 2014, 15. People were leaving crypto, leaving Bitcoin, and also saying, like you just said, that Bitcoin is not used for anything. It's worthless. It's just a crazy experiment. But then everything changed because smart people were sure to buy at the lows, and of course they got rewarded. And so when you have such negative sentiment, do you realize that it will change? That the sentiment is only because of the bear market, or are you perma bear and you do not believe in the future of crypto at all? Telling, for example, that, you know, Bitcoin is useless, it's not good for anything, and it seems that you're very, very negative on crypto generally right now, as you were last year as well, actually.
Yeah, the price will bubble again, and it will make new highs. The question is, how long does that take? If we don't find a real bottom in the next month, then that's a 1 year bear market, right? And that means we have at least another year, assuming symmetry, to find a new high. Now, that's if we V-bottom. And I think that because the market is larger now, that the more mass your market has, the harder it is to move around, the longer it takes to do a market cycle. So like the NASDAQ bubble took a decade to fully pop. That's 10 years for you guys that don't know what a decade means. You'd be surprised how little people on the internet understand of words. So, you know, if it's a V, then we don't get new highs until a year from now. If it's what it's more likely to be, an elongated U with capitulation wicks, more like 2014, then you know, it could be 3 years. And we've already done one, so it could be 2 years from now till we get all-time highs again, which means you could buy pretty much the bottom half a year from now, right? So we will bubble again. The question is where, right? So if someone told you in 2017 that ICOs would blow the bubble up, you'd be like, what? That doesn't make any sense. But it did, right? ICOs blew the bubble up. You can't really know what the next thing will be. I know that once the last guy has sold and no one else wants to sell anymore, it's a lot easier to go up than down, right? Like once, I don't think real capitulation has occurred yet. I haven't seen real capitulation wick. I haven't seen people like truly give up crypto. Everyone's still holding their bags. You know, they're afraid to sell. And that's the case. Like if you're holding your bag and you're afraid to sell because you can't sell because the market's so thin, you'll kill the market. At some point, someone sells your bag for you. And then you're lower and you're like, damn, I should have just crashed the market up there. Now my option is to crash the market down here. Like, like, and the fucking graph just keeps going down, and you're like, oh, maybe the 3-year low will hold. And then the altcoins is priced in Bitcoin. So even if the Bitcoin chart looks survivable, the fiat value is totally destroyed, right? People will start buying crypto again when the price starts going up. Until the price starts going up, no one's buying this shit, and no one has fully capitulated. A lot of funds are still holding this. I want to call out all the assholes out there that wrecked you guys, by the way. Some of us told you the truth when it wasn't easy to do, right? They got a lot of shit for it. A lot of other people got a lot of applause for lying to you, okay? Let me tell you some of the lies that you got. The herd is coming. Yeah, they're coming to click the red sell button, right? What was it? 25K 2018 was Tom Lee, and then he adjusted it like down to 15. Who the fuck knows where he'll adjust it to now, right? It's the millennials, bro. Who else lied to your face? I don't know, McAffee, man. I don't know. If I were 70 or 80, I'd be talking crazy too. But I mean, he did offer to eat his own dick, and it seems like.
Have you seen the latest thing with Skycoin? He has tattooed Skycoin.
It's not smart.
But you know, at his age, I think it's all right. Who cares really what you tattoo? And I guess how much? I wonder how much that costs as well to tattoo something on his body. But Richard, something else that is very important is the Tether situation, because you said that ICOs blew up the bubble. What about Tether? What about the Bitmex Twitter account exposing Tether? Do you think that he or she has some incentives to...
That Bitmex guy is a fucking retard. So
what is he doing according to you? What is his intention and why is he flawed?
If you've been talking shit for a long time about a product being garbage, but the product keeps working, you kind of have to shut the fuck up after a while, right? So when I talked about how terrible Ethereum was and, you know, it's the worst and all that, but the price went up faster than Bitcoin did, you eventually have to shut up and include a caveat. Like, yeah, this tech may have problems, but the price could go up faster, which is all anyone really cares about, the fucking price, right? So everybody that bit into the Tether FUD and shorted Tether when it was under $1 got wrecked because it went back to $1. So he could be technically right, and Tether could be the shittiest company in the world and have shitty banks that have laundered drug money for other companies before, like Deltec in the Bahamas, who they're using now, right? If you're any bank in the third world, I have to imagine some portion of your clients is pretty shady. Otherwise, why wouldn't they just bank with, some big named company in a place where they actually insure the funds better? He wrecked his followers, right? So yeah, I don't think stable coins are good. I think stable coins are fucking terrible. I'd rather short 1x on Bitmex than have some shitty stable coin with tons of extra counterparty risk, right? So here's the counterparty risk on MEX. They go out of business. Okay. Here's a counterparty risk on a stable coin. The bank goes out of business. Or a regulator takes their fiat. Or the person that runs the centralized ledger was running a fractional reserve because he took a paper cut every time he had to switch banks, and 3% of the fiat got stolen or, administratively acquired every time they had to switch banks. And then eventually you take so many 3% paper cuts that you're, whatever magic you're doing to make money on your 100% backed stablecoin. The funny thing is, like, stablecoins make money by making sure they don't work right. So if you're Tether and you can buy your coins for 95 and sell them for $1, you make that 5% market maker fee when your coin doesn't function properly and won't hold $1 and keeps being available for 94 and 93 cents on different exchanges. Now, they could just inflate the order books to make them thicker on those exchanges by leaving more fiat there, but why would they do that? They'd have a better working product, but they'd have less profit. So why not let the Tether price get lower, buy it up cheap, and it's free profit for any stable coin the less stable their coin is, because they keep getting to buy it cheap and selling it for the higher price. So the amount of counterparty risk you have on a stable coin is way, way, way higher because there's more points of failure. And all these banks are what the government attacks. The government attacks the banks. It's what they're used to doing. It's what they love to do. They love to get those big numbers seized for XYZ reason. And then, your stable coin's fucked. You have to run a fractional reserve. Now, could crypto have died from some type of Tether failure? Sure, but it chose not to. It just chose to die the normal bubble. So I hate stable coins. I don't like them. If you want, the whole idea of crypto is to do something better than the dollar, not to do something worse than the dollar, not to do dollars normal inflationary value losing crap plus tons of counterparty risk plus no interest. What? It's retarded.
Yeah, but so if we look past that, because I agree with you on the points that stablecoins, they are needed currently though. I mean, currently there is a use case because many exchanges don't want to deal with fiat. They just want to have a stablecoin. So I see the use case right now. But long term, of course, there is really no need for stablecoins with all of the risks and issues you just mentioned. But if we go back to the fact that Tether could have inflated the bubble, maybe even more than ICOs, do you think that is a true statement or a false statement?
Well, it's totally false. You just measure the market cap, right? So look at the top 100 coins. Tether's, I think, 6 billion. And, the rest, that's like a couple good shit coins put together, right? So the amount of bubble inflating that Tether could do is a couple good shit coins worth. Well, we got more than a couple good shit coins. We got lots. So just mathematically, looking at the market cap of the project, you can see that all of these other things that multiply much harder are much more responsible for the bubble. I mean, if someone convinces you to buy a bag of an altcoin and you do, then that altcoin gets a really high market cap because you inflated the price times the supply. But as soon as you start to sell into that, you realize that the market cap was a lie, right? At least with Tether, the multiplier is not as high. Like, no one's really speculating on making mad gains on Tether because it's just going to go up to $1 pretty much, right? But on these other things, people are willing to invest much larger amounts of economic mass and inflate the market cap numbers for the whole crypto ecosystem, which causes these idiots that run weighted funds to buy more of the shitcoin. So if you're terrible, horrible shitcoin pumps, some other asshole running a weighted fund is like, oh my God, it's pumping. I'm too stupid to know what good is, so I better fucking buy this thing. And then they do. They buy it. And that's how we can't have nice things. We can't have nice things until everyone capitulates and finally gives up and finally clicks the red sell button to make the pain stop. And once enough people have done that, We can go horizontal for a while, and then we can do new bubbles, just like we always have.
And as you mentioned right now, it's also about the education. Currently, even hedge funds that are in this are not really sure what they're doing. And this is also why you saw many coins pumping. Was that your point, that when they invest in different market cap coins, market cap weighted, they have a market cap weighted fund, they invest in things they don't understand, where they think that market cap is big, when in reality, market cap doesn't mean anything, because you can sell one coin for a high price and then you have a huge market cap. And so until we see big players educating themselves and actually knowing what they're doing, we will see these chaotic movements and chaotic markets.
Well, you have to, like, so I made a video a while ago called, poker sucks, video games suck, win at the real game, life. And basically what it is like, if you make money as a trader, you're not building anything. You're taking someone else's money. That's what you're doing. Now, the only way the world gets better is if that guy has to work a real job and work harder and actually make the world better. Investing in shitcoins and making mad gains, are you making the world better? No one uses these things, right? So should a fund that is not making the world better, that just wants to sell to a greater fool, should that fund be rewarded? And should you be rewarded for giving that fund money? And is it making the world a better place? I don't think so. I think it makes the world a worse place.
You can say that with any financial instrument, and you can say that about the whole financial industry as a whole with speculation. Is it really doing the world a better place? Maybe not. So how is that only connected to crypto?
Well, if you invest in Tesla, some cars come out the other end. If you invest in SpaceX, some rockets come out the other end. If you invest in a shitcoin, what comes out the other end?
But what about the internet in the early days? It was also easy to say, hey, you invest in some real factory, you invest some real production, you make the world a better place. If you invest some random website on the internet that no one uses, are you really making the world a better place? So isn't that true with any new innovation, with any new technology?
No, it's definitely not true. So you can do evil, you can do harm. You can invest in weapons technology that is gross and unfair. I'm sure you could go to some country like China and start, trying to build a super virus and sell it to some evil government. I'm sure there's a market for that shit. Doesn't mean it's good. It's bad. There are better and worse human behaviors. First of all, there's no companies. They're just humans. Okay? We don't have AIs doing anything smart. There's just fucking people, right? People can do better and worse things. When you wake up, you can go to the gym and work out, or you can have a fucking cake. These are options are both available to you. Now, as you can tell, sometimes I choose the cake, but at least I know I'm being stupid, right? It's the same with shitcoins. If you're actually doing innovative computer science work and publishing white papers and trying to move human understanding of consensus networks forward, okay, that's good and wholesome and great. Or in my case, if you're doing something that is taking advantage of market inefficiencies, like right now in Bitcoin, miners get paid inflation to secure the network against attacks that never come. 51% of attacks aren't profitable. That's why you never see them, right? So if 51% attacks aren't profitable and they almost never occur, what exactly is all this security that you're paying for from these miners in 4.17% interest, 4.17% inflation every year in Bitcoin? And it used to be many multiples higher. So at the last block halvening, it was, 8%, 10%. And the halvening before that, it was 20, 25, 30%, right? So Bitcoin has been extremely inflationary throughout its history. And new coins are beyond inflationary. I mean, the inflation from block 1 to block 2 is 100%, right? So, what if you could, instead of paying miners for nothing to basically fuck up your consensus anyway, because they don't seem to be very friendly or talkative people, they seem to just be mostly evil. It's a little weird. Like back when I mined Bitcoin, it was a bunch of people at home. Now it's a bunch of corporations that are faceless, that don't engage with anyone, and half the time just do cloud mining fucking scams. It's gross. Like I'm not happy with most miners, at least in the Bitcoin ecosystem.
So you think the entire proof of work model is flawed then? Because the idea is that you spend energy, that you have skin in the game, and you want to get block reward, and therefore you are honest. So are you saying that the whole proof of work system is
well, they're overpaid?
Flawed?
No, it's good. They're just overpaid, right? So the amount of security that they provide, they're over rewarded for it because attacks are so few. And you could say, oh, well, the reason attacks are so few is because we got so much hash rate. Nah. I think it's because there's no easy way to cash out, right? Like one guy double spent Bitcoin Gold against Poloniex, I think, for like 50 million maybe, or 10 million maybe. And that's it. Like there's no other big exchange, 51% hackeronies going on, you know, but there could be, but there's not. So my position is we were talking about the ethics of building something good versus building bullshit. I'm happy with the coin that I'm building because we can pay. Is it in proof of work? It's more reliable. It's more trustworthy. It's infinitely more wasteful. And anyone can join the project, right? So if you want to buy a new miner machine or put together a team of engineers and wait a year or two for tape out and have your own mining machines that you built, you have that option available to you. But if you try and do that in proof of stake, you've got to beg people to sell you their stake. So in a permission network and a proof of stake network, you know, people don't have to sell you their stake. And you may never be able to participate in the network. So they're not as trustless. They're not as censorship resistant. They may not even work, right?
And you know,
but if you're never attacked, everything works.
According to me, everything that is not proof of work is not really a blockchain. I mean, you need to have cryptographic links between blocks for this to be a blockchain in the traditional definition of blockchain. And when you have proof of stake, you don't really have that link. I mean, yes, you have people staking, but it's not physical. It's not that you've spent electricity to find this hash that links your blocks together. And in that sense, it's going to be very interesting to see what Ethereum does. I think it's a great experiment, maybe the biggest experiment in the whole blockchain space, being such a huge project, doing such a big change to their ecosystem, and also having all of the infrastructure and all of the dApps running on it. So that is going to be interesting to see. But in your view, you yourself are basing your project on top of Ethereum.
Yeah.
So what is your view? Do you want them to do proof of stake? Do you want them to stay on proof of work because it's more secure? How do you see the underlying consensus of Ethereum?
Believe it or not, I don't think it matters that much. So your security is only as valuable as the attacks that it stops or prevents. If no one is attacking this stuff anyway, it doesn't matter what your security model is. If no one ever tries to break into your house, it doesn't matter whether you lock your door or not.
Right. Now you're back. You're back.
Yeah. So
you just said as long as no one attacks you, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like if no one ever tries to break in your house, you don't have to lock your door. Locking your door is a waste of time. So if, you know, proof of work or proof of stake, both work fine if there's never any attacks. And then there's this other option that if it fails and it gets all fucked up, then you can just copy the state of the system before the fuck up onto something that's not fucked up. And then you just lose, you know, the data or those last transactions, which is a very small part of the overall network, right? So even in the worst case event of, oh, quantum failure, or oh, our consensus mechanism failed, there's still a very good chance, depending on like how much your currency is used compared to how much it's held. If your currency is mostly held, like BitcoinHEX, the coin I'm building, is meant to store value. If not that much transaction volume is happening at the edge, if the majority of the economic mass is just being held, then you could rotate to any consensus network that worked and it would be fine. Like the stuff's robust in that, like, when's the last time you've heard of Dogecoin, which is a fork of Bitcoin from very old software that never got upgraded ever and works fine, right? Or like this stuff works really well. It doesn't get attacked very often. That's not my biggest concern. When have you seen a nation state attack a crypto? Never. When have you seen a concerted actual effort to kill a crypto? Almost never, right? Even Bitcoin Cash was just attacked by Bitcoin SV. They just added some anti-replay protection, anti-chain reorging protection, and hey, look, there's 2 chains now. No one lost any money. Like, I'm not that worried about proof of stake versus proof of work.
Isn't that because the cryptocurrency space is quite small and yet there is not enough incentive to attack? I mean, when you say that the consensus algorithm doesn't matter whether it's proof of stake or proof of work, or, you know, the fact that no one is going to attack a cryptocurrency, so it's not worth protecting it. Isn't that taking it too lightly? Because of course there is a huge incentive to attack Bitcoin. I'm sure people are doing it each and every day. And the same is with any other crypto. And as you said, we've seen people attack those small coins that don't have enough hash power to even protect themselves against a 51% attack, and then just dump their coins, or all kinds of crazy things can happen if you don't have enough.
Getting your coin attacked and losing 1% of its value is much better than losing 5% of the value to try and stop it. So there is protection is not free, right? So if you're if it cost you $100 to lock a safe that contained a $20 bill, you'd be very stupid to lock the safe, right? You'd be better off risking losing the 20, because it's like, it's probabilistic that you might lose the 20, but it's guaranteed that you lose the 100, because it's just upfront cost, right? It's probabilistic that someone 51% attacks you. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I mean, let me put it to you this way. If you wanted to attack a crypto, we just had an inflation bug that could have destroyed, oh boy, a lot. No one found it. Took a long time to find. Random dude just like, hey, look guys, there's a problem here that could destroy the whole thing. Oh, oops. That seems like a much cheaper attack. Seems much cheaper to hire some smart devs to find bugs than to buy a bunch of hash rate. So like, if you're worried about preventing attacks, we need more developers reviewing code. We don't need more fucking hash rate. Hash rate's not the problem. Hash rate's not the attack vector. Hash rate's not where the problems are coming from. Right now, if you care about the price, the problem's coming from no one using this shit. That's an attack.
But I see it as two different attack vectors. So one vector is, as you mentioned, the bugs. If there is a bug, someone can attack and exploit the code. Another attack vector is when the software is functioning fine, everything is working as it should, but the infrastructure is just not architectured in a smart way. So this attack vector is, for example, with the consensus, that someone could hack the consensus algorithm by, for example, having 51% of the hash power. So,
but that only works for a very small period of time. You can only do your 51% attack once, and then everyone requires more confirmations, and then you don't have enough hash rate anymore. Or they switch the proof of work, and you don't have any fucking hash rate anymore. Like, you only get to do your stupid 51% attack once, and then it doesn't work anymore. So like, it doesn't, if what you were saying was true, and that hash rate mattered and on-chain security mattered, then why the fuck are weak and stupid and shitty coins doing fine? Why isn't Dogecoin, which hasn't been patched in forever, have problems? Why does it work just fine?
Well, because the consensus is strong enough. I mean, the original version of Bitcoin, if you look past those few bugs with, for example, the inflation bug, which was a huge and very serious bug in the code, but it wasn't a bug in the consensus. So my point is that the original version of the consensus works fine. So that is why you see Dogecoin still functioning, as long as you patch every critical bug in the source code that was not intended. But
I'm not even sure they do the critical patches, truthfully. Like, I'm not even sure they bother. So like, my point is, like, if count up all the money that's been lost to whatever type of threat vector you're concerned with, and then count out how much money was lost to the electric company to pay for mining machines, you'll find it's a very shitty deal. You'd be much better off having the occasional hack than destroying the fucking environment to prevent it. Like, this stuff just doesn't get attacked, or shit coins with low hash rate would be fucking destroyed. Like, Bitcoin Cash would be destroyed, right? It has 6% the hash Bitcoin. Anyone could just flip their relatively medium-sized pool off Bitcoin onto Bitcoin Cash and 51% attack it all fucking day long, but there's no money in it. And whether it goes from 6% to 9% or 6% to 3%, there's still no fucking money in it. So it doesn't matter. Like, if this stuff mattered, those little coins would get attacked more. They never get attacked. Bitcoin Gold, and that's the only one I can think of. Can you think of any other coin that's been 51% attacked in an exchange where someone made money? Bitcoin Gold's the only one I can think of.
But it's not about necessarily making money. It's for example, it could be about just destroying a cryptocurrency. For example, destroying trust in a cryptocurrency. If you can,
it's only profitable if you can short it.
But it's not.
You
it's
can't
not
short
about
most
profit.
of this shit.
What if it's not about profit? What is it all about? Just destroying the cryptocurrency you want to target, such as Bitcoin, which might become more and more important for different interests to do. You look at nation states, you look at other people that do not like the crypto revolution we're seeing. It's not about profit necessarily. It could be just, hey, let's censor all transactions. Let's not let anyone do any transactions and lose trust in this.
Yep. So I'll assume everything you just said is the case, and I'll tell you how that will work out. The government already attacks things it doesn't like, and it never buys hash rate to do it. Okay? So tell me what's cheaper if you want to shut down the utility of a cryptocurrency. Is it cheaper to go to TSMC and say, hey, we want to buy a couple $100 million of mining equipment. Please hook us up and design it well so it doesn't suck balls. And then we'll go 51% attack this thing, which probably isn't even actually legal. And who knows what division of the government will be even in charge of it. Or we could just write a little law that says you're not allowed to run Bitcoin nodes. And if you run a Bitcoin node, you go to jail for 3 years. And then you tell the ISPs, hey, if anyone's running Bitcoin nodes, let us know. And then when they see a node pop up, they look at the little IP go and they go, oh, that's in America. And they get in their little car, woo, 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 and they fucking drive to your node and knock on your door and they go, hey, 3 years jail, buddy, get in the car. And there wouldn't be no more fucking Bitcoin nodes in America, right?
Yeah, but Bitcoin is global, and implementing something like you just propose is not an easy thing, and who knows what kind of unrests that would cause.
It's pretty easy, bro. If you run a Tor node and see how long it takes till your fucking door gets knocked on. Run a Tor exit node and let me know when your door gets knocked on and when your ISP gets subpoenaed for all the child porn that got fucking downloaded through your node. And then you get to go to court and say, oh, it wasn't me, man. It wasn't me. I didn't download that child porn. I run this free open server thing, which lets anyone use my connection to download anything they want. Haha, it's called Tor, man. Yeah, get out of jail free card, man. I hope the jury understands that. No, like, it would be so easy for them to pass that law. My point is that if you accept that cryptocurrencies can be attacked for reasons that are non-monetary, that's fine. I will tell you that the easiest and cheapest way to attack them is through writing words on paper, through the force of law, which is what they spend all day, every day doing, making new laws and sending men with guns to your house with flashbang grenades. Or they could buy a bunch of hash rate. They're not buying the fucking hash rate. So if your defense to this destroying cryptos thing is to buy more hash rate, it don't work. That's not how you defend the attacks that are going to come.
I hope I'm online.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just chopped, but it's back.
Yeah, so I understand your point that it's cheaper to just create a law, but the thing is Bitcoin is global, and there is always some country that will see it as an opportunity. When different countries ban crypto, other countries will say, hey, come to us, take your wealth to us, and let's do business here with crypto instead. So to me, yes, they could try to ban crypto, but how effective is that really? You can only ban yourself from crypto. You cannot ban crypto. This is a quote from Andreas, but I think to ban crypto globally, it's impossible because it is a language. Bitcoin, I can send a Bitcoin transaction in my Skype message and someone can broadcast it somewhere else in the world.
You ever download anything off BitTorrent?
Not officially.
Well, I can tell you that it used to be better and now it's worse. Why? Laws. Used to have Napster. Napster worked great. You ain't got Napster anymore. Where the fuck did it go? It got killed. Why? Laws. Right? So your ability to find content that's good and download it at high speeds and not receive a letter for infringement sucks balls compared to the way it used to be. And that's billions and billions and billions of dollars of economic energy and interest that people have. You know how much money VPN companies make? Oh boy, VPN companies make a lot of money. Billions. More than cryptos. VPN companies make more than cryptos. Why? People like downloading shit they shouldn't. Oh, okay. Well, I can tell you that the laws worked to make that experience much shittier. And you now need a VPN to not get fucked up in court, right? So the same thing applies to crypto. Their laws made the ecosystem worse. Did it destroy it? No. But it made you have to spend $30 a month on a VPN that you didn't used to have, didn't used to need. So maybe you need to spend $30 a month to have crypto now because they decided to make some laws. No, it won't kill it, but it would harm the shit out of it. I'm not saying governments are even interested in doing that. I mean, they've joined the team, right? A lot of these guys own this stuff. Hester Pierce, who's an SEC commissioner, just loves the idea of crypto, as do many people that have bought bags. If you buy a bag, boy, do you love crypto, right? So I'm not saying the government's even going to try to come down on this stuff. I'm just saying hash rate isn't a good defense if they did.
And so talking about hash rate, we've seen some interesting developments in the Bitcoin Cash community. Basically, they have split. Now you have Bitcoin Cash ABC, Bitcoin Cash SV. You have Craig Wright making crazy statements that he's going to attack the ABC fork and maybe even other blockchains and other cryptocurrencies. What is your view on that? What is Craig Wright doing? Is it all just a facade? Is he for real?
Craig Wright is a lying scumbag. And I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire to put him out. The fact that a fraud could go up on stage and say he was Satoshi and then turn out to not be, and then say, I'm never going to be on TV again, and then be on TV every time he gets a chance, and then talk about, I'm going to maybe have to dump crypto down to, 5,000 to pay for this hash war. Oh, there's going to be no fork. There's no fork, no fork, no split, no fork. There's going to be SV and nothing else. But there was a split. And there's 2 coins now. Everything you said was a lie. Everything you said was a lie. Just like all the degrees that you've collected from some college in the middle of nowhere that no one's ever heard of, or the papers that you wrote to try and seem smart, which I downloaded before you deleted them, or the fact you can't do math, you don't understand what the likelihood of one block being found within seconds of another block is, and you don't understand that you can't have negative gamma, you can't have a negative difference. Like, he can't do math. I'm unaware that he's ever owned a Bitcoin. I've never seen him actually send a Bitcoin transaction or sign a statement from a Bitcoin address. I don't know that he's ever had a successful enterprise or endeavor in his entire life. So this guy, who's 100% scumbag, idiots like Roger Ver, who's not an idiot, but in this one case, Gavin Anderson, who's not an idiot, but in this one case, decided to give a fucking fraud a platform to then piggyback onto getting investment from people. I know Matonis was one of the people that worked with him, and there's still people that work with him to this day, like Calvin Iyer, who, good at sportsbook and poker, I guess, but fucking stupid at crypto. It's disgusting to me that I have to talk about a piece of human trash like fake Satoshi because so many fucking retards have funded him to allow him to execute his stupid in the real world. It's disgusting to me. Nothing the man has ever done has had any positive impact on the world. He brags about having a bunch of dumb patents. He brags about not being able to have fungibility in crypto and, not be able to spend your money how you want. He talks a lot of shit about having a lot of coins, never provides any proof. It's disgusting. I hate everything about it. And if you associate with him or anyone in his crew or anyone that's empowered him, you're fucking up and you will pay the price. If you join Team Bcash, Bcash used to be worth 0.19. And I wrote a guide on how to sell that shit for 0.19. Now it's worth 0.05, 0.04. Well, you just 5x loss, right? Your stack's 5x smaller now because you didn't listen. You joined Team Stupid, right? Team, we need bigger blocks that are empty. You don't need more bigger empty blocks, you stupid fucks. The blocks are empty. You don't need more bigger, giant, empty blocks full of nothing. Stupid. And then, if you look at what they did, they even were orphaning their own blocks off their own centralized network. One of their blocks took 20 minutes to propagate on their own centralized retard network, right? All the things that you would expect, like when you have an engine, like a BMW, right, high compression engine, and you start modifying it and trying to shove more air in it, you start getting detonation because the compression was already high. You can't just put a turbo or a supercharger on it. You can't just modify a system that works well by making some parts bigger. You get failures other places, right? And you can't just increase the block size to retard levels and not watch blocks get orphaned and not watch nodes drop off your network. And then you've got, what, a big centralized shitcoin that only gets mined the blocks they want because they're the only miner, because they killed off all the other miners. Now, how is that good? How is a big giant central party that can let you transact or not, can roll back your transactions or not, what you want out of your crypto? And obviously they don't play well with others. How's that good? It's like winning the Special Olympics. You're still a retard.
And so what's interesting with this is that you see many people such as, Rick Falkvinge, a Swedish guy that invested everything he had in crypto 5 years ago or maybe
and then
even
capitulated.
Earlier. And then
remember, he capitulated. He went all in and then went all out.
And then he switched to Bitcoin Cash. And what about all of these people that people say, hey, those OGs are with Bitcoin Cash? Are they all fooled by Craig? Are they all out for power in your view, that they want the centralized coin that they control? What is up with Gavin Andresen, for example, which you mentioned, or also being an old schooler in the Bitcoin sphere? Why are they not seeing this? And what is the thing with them?
Here's what happens. People like to make progress, right? So Gavin wanted bigger blocks, and he wanted Bloom filters, and that would get things to synchronize quicker. And, he wanted things that were good. But once the ecosystem becomes so large, you don't get to change it anymore. At some point, you just can't get consensus for changes anymore. It would need to be like a bug fix, right? But things that are optional, like fungibility and confidential transactions and things like that, they'll probably never be merged in because there's too many people that have a say that you can't get consensus. This is why governments and companies and teams and families are run by a single human, because you get consensus from a single human, usually. You don't get consensus from committees. Shit just doesn't happen, right? So the blockchain is at a size now where it's nearly impossible to get things that aren't absolutely vital patched in. This makes developers pissed, because what are they working on if it can't get patched in anyway, right? So, Hearn got out, Gavin got out, and then when you can't make the thing better anymore, you just assume it's going to get worse. But what they don't realize is it's good enough. Price can go up 20x because it's good enough. It doesn't need to do any of that bullshit to store value better. It stores value just fine. It appreciates amazingly well. 20x was fabulous in a year or two. 20x in a year or two, that's good. Works for me, right? But it doesn't work for them because they're not speculators. They're just guys that kind of write code, right? They're not staring at the chart all day, or if they do, they stop after they get wrecked. And then other people like, let's take BitPay or Shapeshift, their business is based on low fees because that's their cost. They're taking money from clients to move money around on their behalf, and then their cost is the actual fee they have to pay the network. And they make the difference between what they can charge the client and what the network charges them. And so those types of companies are very sensitive to fees, and they'd prefer the fees be cheaper. And their solution for cheaper fees is to make bigger blocks that have more space in them that people have to bid less on so that they're just cheaper. And they didn't realize the side effects of that, which are now you have less censorship resistance. You have less nodes on the network and less people can afford to run a machine that does this. And we already have way too few anyway. Most people that have economic interest in Bitcoin don't mine Bitcoin, which means they have no say in much of the consensus. Most people in Bitcoin that have a lot of money in Bitcoin don't hire any developers and have no say in what gets committed and merged. That is fucked up. That is stupid. If your entire savings relies upon a well-functioning network that is updated and kept secure from bugs through software, then an intelligent person that has a lot of Bitcoin would invest in both software development and mining infrastructure to have a say in those other branches, right? Because any branch can veto the other branch. You could write great software, miners don't run it, it's like your software doesn't exist. You could mine whatever you want, but if the software guys didn't write it, what exe are you double clicking, right? If you make great software and it's mined by the best network, but the exchanges won't list it, it has no economic utility. So each one of these parties and these checks and balances has a say in what's going on. And when you see people just go all in on one thing, like, oh, I'm just going to own all the mining, you're stupid. It doesn't work that way. Oh, I'm going to fucking make a fork. You're stupid. It doesn't work that way, right? You need all of these things to multiply by each other. You need adoption times good dev times enough hash rate to not be attacked, which I think is extremely low, or you would see more attacks, right? I don't even remember the question, by the way. Fucking, what was the question? I don't remember.
Well,
we're talking about forks. We're talking about what a scumbag.
Is the fact
Craig
that
Wright
did Craig just convinced everyone and now we see the real him, or did the guys like Roger Ver, like Gavin and
Many people will never see anything that they don't want to see. I made a thread on Twitter that said, hey, you know what? Take a moment to think about everyone that fucking lied to you, okay? The herd is coming, you know, 30K, 25K, end of 2018, you know, billions of dollars of over-the-counter buys. I'm getting phone calls constantly. People want to buy billions of dollars of coins. Oh, that's funny. The price dropped 4x. Maybe you guys are all full of shit fucking liars. Maybe you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Maybe you shouldn't be listened to again, right? So that's Novogratz, Tom Lee, McAfee had $1 million coin bet. Like the guy, but if you're taking investment advice from him, gonna get wrecked.
He's good at PR, that's for sure.
He's fun to watch, but I mean, if you thought Bitcoin was going to $1 million and it's sitting at 3,500, you are fucking wrecked. All those people need to pay a price. Okay, they need to eat shit. They need to be not listened to again. And so I posted that, right? And then everyone misunderstood the tweet because they wanted to. The things I were listing as lies, they thought I was saying is true. They're like, yeah, the herd's coming, man. I'm like, motherfucker, are you stupid? The herd's just clicking the red button. Like, what? How stupid are you? Like, I can't even speak normal English to these people because they're so fucking stupid. They only see what they want to see. Okay? I tell them, hey, bear market. Oh, cheap coins, man. All right. Well, you know, if you thought they were cheap at 10 and you thought they were cheap at 6, boy, you must really fucking love them at 3,500. Boy, you'll really like them at 1170, won't you? So, when you, it's basically, there's something called the curse of the fooled. And what it means is that it is much easier to fool people than it is to convince them they've been fooled. They won't fucking believe it. This has been an episode on South Park where one of the characters pretends to be a sightseer, fortune teller, whatever, you know, mystic. This is James Randi with the Skeptic Foundation, the James Randi Foundation, would run full out scams on national TV. And then after he was done scamming everybody, he was like, hey, this was just bullshit. We were just scamming you. Everyone would not believe him and would just consider it to be fucking real, right? And this happens time and time again. Motherfuckers are stupid and they don't understand how truth statements work. And they don't understand probability and they don't understand Bayes' theorem. And if you don't understand Bayes' theorem, you can't understand testing and you can't understand proof and you can't understand probability. If you go on Wikipedia and you can't understand Bayes' theorem, you're basically just destined to live a life of fucked up. Like, you're just not going to understand probability. So in life, you don't just have true or false. You have maybe and maybe not. And then you have evidence which supports, oh, well, how confident should I be in my maybe and maybe nots, right? And what's the overall state of the system before our measurement? Is it very common that the maybes win? Well, then it's probably very common that whether our test works or not, we're going to get a maybe result, right? Anyway, you're not going to be able to tell these fucking idiots that they got scammed. You're not going to be able to convince them that this dude's a fucking scammer. There is no hope for them. The only thing you can do is ridicule them and tell them how fucking stupid they are. I've tried the other ways. You just have to take pleasure in the horror that they experience, I guess. Schadenfreude. Right.
And there's an interesting video that Rick Falkvinge also made about psychopaths, and that you know, it's so hard to really distinguish a psychopath from a normal person because they can do so crazy things you can't even imagine. It would be so abnormal for a normal person to do something like that you cannot imagine that they would, and that is what psychopaths use in order to prey on you.
I think Rick Falkvinge is, and I would love to debate him and crush him in public. If you're listening, Mr. Falkvinge, I'm ready to fuck you up whenever you're ready, dude. We talk about anything you want, except the stuff I agree with you on. So Rick Falkvinge, I do agree with on his political stance that we need digital rights that mirror our analog rights. If it's not okay for someone to open up your mail before it's delivered, it's not okay for someone to open up your email before it's delivered and read it without your knowledge. He's 100% right about those things. Some of his Pirates Party stuff is good. On the crypto stuff, he's retarded. He doesn't understand development for shit. He said that SegWit would steal your coins, and it's terrible, and it's cruft, and it works fabulous, and it works great. and everyone's had nothing but good from it, and he needs to eat shit for that. But, you know, no one probably even knows who he is, so I guess he won't eat as much shit as he should. If he wants to eat shit in person, direct message me, dog.
Right, guys, we currently have 1,300 plus people watching. Smash that like if you haven't. Also, go follow Richard on Twitter. If you like what he's saying, Richard Hartwin on Twitter, you will find him. And so our next topic is ICOs and the SEC, namely that the SEC is now taking action. And something that I really want to discuss with you is dApps. So many ICOs said, hey, we're going to do a dApp. And some of them have made their dApp. And so two things. Number one, no one is using dApps. What is your view on that? You have like 20 people using dApps nowadays. Yep. And number two, people are actually getting sued for launching a dApp, such as the EtherDelta guy. So EtherDelta is a decentralized exchange, runs without his involvement really, except for the website maybe, but the smart contracts are running on their own. But he is still liable for launching an unregulated securities exchange. And you see many people in the crypto space and in Bitcoin space saying, hey, crypto is outside the law. Hey, it's on the blockchain. I'm not responsible for anything. What is your view on that? And where is your view on dApps that, you see 20 people using nowadays?
Well, just like I said, there's no such thing as a company. There's just people acting and doing stuff. There's also no such thing as a blockchain. There's just people that are either storing the historical state of the data as it was, right? The historical blocks, or they're mining new blocks. That's it. That's the blockchain. There's dudes running miners, and there's dudes storing data, and maybe there's some dudes writing some software, maybe there's some dudes running exchanges. They're just dudes, right? There's no magical blockchain, right? It's just like the cloud. There's no cloud. It's just other people's computers. So if the SEC's job is to protect people from the types of horrible scumbags that I've talked about with Craig Wright, they try to minimize the harm that these people experience. And they don't really have a lot of great tools to do that because people are so goddamn stupid. They just love getting scammed. You can't talk them out of getting scammed. They just have to believe the fucking lies. So they really try and do the best job they can so that good projects can go and raise money and do good things, and fucking scammers can't just write up a bunch of bullshit and run off with everyone's money. It's a very healthy and good endeavor that the SEC is involved in. And the Americans have done a very good job with the Howey ICO website, which talks about what the Howey test is, how they try and apply it to tell the difference between what is a security, what isn't, what is likely to be a high risk ICO, what is likely to be a low risk ICO. They have a chart with a bunch of ICOs showing high, low, moderate risk levels. They have, that's great outreach that these idiots might actually understand, right? I haven't seen any other country be as innovative in trying to get the stupid to stop being stupid and buying scams. So what do libertarians complain about? Oh, well, there's too much paperwork to run my scam. Okay, well, sorry that you have to play the paperwork competition game. All these other guys did the paperwork, so maybe you do the paperwork too. I can try and tell you, to the best of my understanding, as not a lawyer, but I am a smart guy. My understanding of the Howey test is that your thing is a security if you collect money into a common pool with the expectation of profit from the work of others. So if you buy a collectible plate and it goes up in value, it's not a security, right? You don't have any control over the company that's marketing the plates. They didn't say they were going to drive up the price of your plate. They didn't guarantee your returns. They don't write you checks. They don't give you money back. You have to go get your own money by selling your own plate to someone else, right? So it is my understanding that collectible plates are not securities, and Bitcoins aren't securities, and Beanie Babies aren't securities. And these are all things that for a period of time people believed would go up in price. But they fail lots of legs of the test, and to the best of my understanding, you have to fail every single leg of the test in order to be a security. You can't just want to be a security and wish it so and hope the regulations apply to you. Your thing actually has to meet every single leg. So, Ethereum, the SEC ruled, was a security. They received money or something worth money into a common pool with the expectation of profit from the work of others. Hey, we're going to build this thing, give us money. Now what's interesting is they still do allow you to like buy stuff that might go up in value from the work of others, which would be Kickstarters, right? But they even have laws around that. I think the Jobs Act had some laws regarding kickstarting and Reg A+ and some other things. So you can make a crypto, it can be not a security. The crux of the matter is the Howey test. Did you accept funds? Did they go into a common pool? Are people expecting a return on your work? Probably security, right?
And what about your project? How are you dealing with this? And
Sure.
Do you care? Do you have lawyers working actively on this? Because this is becoming very serious for many projects.
It's if my understanding of the language is correct, then if you don't accept money and it doesn't go to a common pool and there is no future work because it's a smart contract, it can't be changed. There's no editing it. It's what it is. It's unchangeable. And they're not receiving money back from you. It's pretty hard to make the case it's a security. Like, no money, no common pool, no work. If there's any profit, that's on you, bro. It's not a security. You have to, like, it fails every leg of the test that I can think of. And it would need to act like, I hate saying pass or fail because you don't know what direction you're going, but to the best of my understanding, there's no way you could shoehorn that into being a security.
Right. And so I've read the report from PVC, and they also outlined this issue with securities and also with accounting, because accounting crypto is not easy either when you do an ICO or when you do crypto in your company. And currently there is no standard. No one really knows how to deal with this. No one really knows how to account crypto, because crypto can be so many different things. It can be just something you have in your warehouse. If you treat it as some kind of warehouse item, if you just trade it and you sell it like shoes, or maybe it's a security, or maybe it's something else. And looking at your project, and so many people have asked as well about your project, what exactly does it do? Can you explain us in simple terms? Maybe you have a picture, a drawing. What exactly do you do? So, and why is it needed?
My belief is that no one uses crypto for payments because it sucks for payments. And my proof of that is no one you know is using it for payments, and you're not using it for payments, and the volumes are going down, not up, and the number of ATMs that you can use them at is going down, not up, and the number of top 500 retailers that accept crypto is 2 or 3 or 4 out of 500. A project that's been around for 10 years. So that use case at this point is lost. It is garbage. Maybe it'll work with Lightning. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. And even if it does, if it's just used for micropayments, there's not that much economic mass there. There is a lot of economic mass in being store value. So if you add up the value of Visa and PayPal and MasterCard, they're worth less than $700 billion. But gold is worth 7.7 trillion, more than 10 times more. Transporters of value will always be worth less than the value they transport. Security will always be worth less than what is being secured, because human beings are rational, usually. So by that token, if all crypto does well is appreciate and store value, how would you design one crypto that stored value better than another? Well, you look for inefficiencies. So paying miners for security that's unneeded, or paying more miners to... So if Ethereum already has a very secure network, when you hear about the hacks in Ethereum, it's not Ethereum getting hacked. It's people misusing the tools that they're given. They give you all the rope that you could imagine by giving you a Turing-complete language to hang yourself with. Turing complete means that you can do anything that computation can do. Nothing is outside of your abilities. You can do all the things. So when you're given a Turing complete language to a bunch of noobs that aren't used to writing financial software and dealing with floats and aren't used to race conditions and aren't used to atomicity, they fuck up, right? And then when they fuck up, they lose a lot of money because you can't roll back the chain. At one time you could. I don't think you can now. Or else the parity people would have already gotten their money back, right? From their contract that was destroyed. 180 million. Probably less now that the price has dropped so much. So it was only 90 million. I'm not sure. You could look it up. The parity wallet hack where someone just took their multi-sig and offlined it and just took the contract offline. It's pretty funny. So the Ethereum ecosystem itself has actually had less hacks than the Bitcoin ecosystem at the core level. There's been real inflation bugs that printed real coins in Bitcoin that occurred in the past, the long ago past, and it was a risk in the near past, but it didn't get executed. It was caught before it was exploited. Ethereum's never had that. To the best of my knowledge, they've never had an inflation bug, and they've never had a weird hard fork consensus failure, and they've never lost half their miners to some weird project like Bitcoin did with Bitcoin Cash. So you could make the statement that at the base layer protocol level, Ethereum has been more secure than Bitcoin, which is why I'm happy to run my ecosystem on it. The only downsides are it doesn't have high throughput.
Ethereum Classic. They lost some to Ethereum Classic, so splits happen on all big blockchains.
Yeah, but there wasn't a threat of the 6% of Ethereum dudes that split off to do Ethereum Classic never had 50% or greater the hash rate of the main chain, I don't think. But in Bitcoin Cash did have more than half the hash rate of Bitcoin for a while. And it was a more existential threat. The Bitcoin Classic was never an existential threat to, Ethereum Classic was never an existential threat to Ethereum. They're just a more friendly ecosystem. They're more willing to work with each other and help each other out and get patches done. Like you could patch Ethereum and do stuff like just stop paying the miners. That's what that means. If they patch in proof of stake instead of proof of work, the miners just stop getting paid. Try doing that shit in Bitcoin. Right? So it was worse back in the beginning when they could just roll back transactions like the DAO hack, but I'm pretty sure they can't do that now. And, even if they could, do you see them doing it for evil or at the behest of government or something? I don't think they can, but if they could, I'm not sure who would get screwed other than a hacker. Now that breaks the whole idea of crypto, and I don't think it's an issue anymore because they're so large. So my point is, what does BitcoinHEX do that's better? Fuck paying 4.17% inflation to miners when you could just give it to the holders who deserve it and earn it more, right? So you take the inflation that would have been paid to miners and instead you give it to holders. Fuck having 10% or 5% of the global economy held by a guy you don't know or his kids that you don't know, Satoshi.
So Richard, inflation in Bitcoin is to pay for the security. It's not just giving away. We pay for the security, for the hashing power so that we have computers guessing these numbers and hashing. But if I just hold the currency and then I get more of that currency, isn't it just plain inflation? What is the point?
So in Ethereum, they also pay that burn rate of proof of work. And even if they have proof of stake, the stakers will be rewarded with returns as well. So if you want to run a consensus network and you want to be able to trust that what's going on is true, you do have to pay inflation in the form of a block reward to the stakers or to the miners. That's going to happen in my system or any other system. Because I'm piggybacking Ethereum, because so many other people are willing to pay that cost, they're just benefiting my project, right? They may get the occasional network fee of 30 cents or 5 cents. Maybe if everything goes wonderfully and there's millions of dApps being adopted, maybe it'll be $1 to do a transaction. But as you can see, there's no successful dApps, none. So the reason, go ahead.
Richard, so I just don't understand. You have BitcoinHEX, that is your project, and then you just get more of it. And the inflation is just to inflate the currency. There is no actual use case for inflation as in Bitcoin, as in Ethereum currently with proof of work that you pay miners for something.
That's the way all currencies work, yes. All currencies these days inflate, and whoever gets the money first wins. All of them. Every crypto inflates. You're either paying proof of stakers or you're paying miners.
Yeah,
every
but
currency inflates.
yes,
Gold inflates too, bro.
Yes,
They keep mining that shit out of the
every currency
ground.
inflates for different reasons. You have fractional reserve banking. You have people taking loans to build businesses,
Right.
to buy real estate, whatever.
Right.
And so, what is the point
Are
of?
you familiar with lockups in companies?
Yes.
You buy shares in a company and they don't let you just dump whenever you want.
Yes.
You have to hold for a while. But because you hold for a while, they give you better terms. This concept of locking your money away and getting interest has existed for as long as money has, right? That's what a contract, that's what a CD is. That's what a certificate of deposit is. It's what bank accounts are supposed to do. They're supposed to pay interest for locking up your funds. Now, in normal banking, when you lock up your funds, it gets loaned out to other people. In this system, when you lock up your funds, that value of less coins being on market is just distributed like a proof of burn to everyone else that had coins that were on market, right? So you've locked up your coins, which means you can't sell them. So
Yes.
now the people that might choose to sell them have more valuable coins. It's just like if you had $100 in your wallet and you caught it on fire.
Okay, so I'm trying to formulate the reason for your inflation. So could the accurate formulation be that inflation is an anti-dump mechanism, that people who lock in their funds, they will
Right.
get rewarded with inflation, and therefore inflation is a reward for anti-dump?
Right. Kind of, sure. I don't, so it's close. It's very close. So look at it this way. If only 10% of coins stake and your inflation is 3.69%, the people that stake, that pool of people, is getting 40% interest per year. If only 1% of people stake, they're getting 369% interest a year. If more people stake, the rewards are smaller for each of them because they're sharing the same interest pool, but there's less coins on market. The coins on market will have more value. So if more people stake, they get paid out less, but the coins have more value. If less people stake, they get paid out more individually because they're sharing the same pool, right? But the coins have less value. And it's basically a truth-finding mechanism. If you say that you're willing to hold your coins for a year and you have to emergency unstake and you guess wrong, you pay half of your periods that you would have earned, you pay half of those to the people that stayed staked. So what you have is, in Bitcoin, you never know if Satoshi is going to come dump his coins in your head. You never know if Mt. Gox is going to come dump his coins in your head. In BitcoinHEX, you know exactly the actual supply because you can see who's locked up and for how long. And there's a chart. You go, oh, here's how many, the actual supply that's going to be on market. Because people that aren't going to dump their coins would obviously keep them locked up for one period to get the interest, right? So it gives you a more accurate knowledge of how many coins are actually on market, rewards people for holding, doesn't reward miners other than the small fees, right? 30 cents here and there. And allows you, fixes unit bias, uses millions of units so that you have these 50-cent coins like Ripple and Stellar and such, instead of $8,000 coins or $3,000 coins. Hey, how much for that soda? 0.09428675. It's terrible. It's a very stupid way to structure a currency. So units are fixed. Paying miners instead of holders is fixed. Paying people for locking up longer, every extra 10 days you lock up, you get an extra 0.5% shares. So if you lock up for 5 years if you lock up for 6 years instead of 1 year, you get paid twice as much, right? The inflation rate is lower than Bitcoin. Bitcoin inflates at 4.17. This inflates at 3.69. So it's got lower inflation. It rewards holders. It has better knowledge of how many coins are actually on market. And then for those people that guess wrong, well, they reward the people that guessed right. Because if they emergency unlock, the people that stayed locked and told the truth and held as long as they would get paid that reward for the wrong guess. That's all better game theory. In Bitcoin, you can just buy it, sell it, send it. That's it. That's all you can do. In BitcoinHEX, you could buy it, sell it, send it. Actually, I'm not sure where you could sell it. There's no market yet, right? Buy it, sell it, send it, and stake it. And you could stagger your stakes, right? You could stake one for 20 years, one for 10 years, one for 10 days, right? It's just better game theory, and it represents the real world. It's the first cryptocurrency in the world that pays you better for locking up longer, just like the normal world does with a CD. It's the first one. I invented it.
But I mean, if I have money, isn't it better to just lock in Ether and stake it when proof of
No,
stake is released?
pays less. They pay less.
Well, it depends on the value of Ether, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, so then your theory would be if you get BitcoinHEX for $0 because you had Bitcoin for the 1 minute that the block snapshot occurred. So in order to get BitcoinHEX for free, you need only have Bitcoin for the single block that the snapshot is taken, and that's it. So if you were worried about your price risk for that single minute that you held Bitcoin, right, or however long it takes to do your transactions, hour, whatever, take it into your wallet, have the private keys, you could hedge that risk with leverage on Bitmex, right? So you could buy $1 million of Bitcoin spot, short $1 million on Bitmex with only 20% collateral there, right? So now you've got like 4x more Bitcoin of free BitcoinHEX that you're getting because you've taken a short out against your spot position. You have no fiat risk, just counterparty risk, which in my estimate is low. And then you've got all these free coins. What percentage return do you think your free coins are going to get versus the coins that you paid a shitload for? The mathematics always works out in the favor of the thing you got for free. You'll always make a larger percentage return on the thing you got for free than anything you paid for. Because you
Or if you sell it and just buy Ether and get more.
I don't. When the bull market happened, everyone that had a shit coin made better returns than everyone that had a real coin, as long as you were in early. That's just how it worked. The people that held Ripple made more money faster than the people that held Bitcoin. The people that held Ethereum made more money faster than the people that held Bitcoin. When the bull market happens and the rising tide rises all ships, the little ships are going to rise a lot higher. It's just how it works. So, I mean, Ethereum, I'm unaware of a math structure that will allow Ethereum at any price to pay better than a coin that you get for $0 and has any future price at all.
Right. And guys, please ask us more questions about crypto because I've asked the questions I wanted to discuss. And also we have some questions that were submitted on Twitter that are outside crypto. But if you guys have interesting questions, write them in the chat and we might take them. And so, Richard, I know that you've been involved with personal development, and this is something that many people don't know, but if you actually go to Richard's channel and you go way back, you can read about personal development, watch about personal development and how to be a better person, how to develop yourself. This is something I myself am interested in. And also people have asked me to bring this question up about Jordan Peterson because of course Jordan is very famous nowadays and brings up many important topics, especially now that you're not in the US, you're somewhere else, and you might have experienced a different culture that is not the US, and how people view the world differently, and how people view capitalism, socialism, feminism, gender differently in different parts of the world. What is your view on Jordan and just the whole clash of cultures? If you take, for example, Texas or somewhere, in the rural US, and then you take Europe, what is your conclusion and what is going on with this culture difference?
So it's very obvious for educated people to tell which countries are doing it better and which countries are doing it worse. There's branches of intellectuals that study this for a living. Sociologists measure the outcomes that citizens get in different societies, and some of them are better, some of them are worse. They can tell whether it's easier or harder to start a business, whether it's easier or harder to move from poor to rich, whether it's easier or harder to be treated fairly in court. They measure this shit. It's ranked. European nations always do the best, period. Other English-speaking countries that may not be European, like Australia, France, they get better health outcomes at lower costs, have longer lifespans, longer health spans, lower crime, less violent crime. Everything's fucking better. Now, unfortunately, most Americans don't have a passport, and most Americans, therefore, have not really left the country very far beyond perhaps maybe places you could go with a driver's license, which I think is Canada and Mexico. Been a while. They just don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They haven't been enough other places to know how good other people have it. You know, in America, if there's this, I just put a Twitter video out a little while ago, a surprise birthday party for a guy. Guy comes in the house, surprise, pulls his gun, right? It's like, oh shit, almost killed somebody. You know, half a second, quarter of a second away from killing one of his friends or family, because that's how the game is played there. I've pulled gun on people. I've done a lot of shit in Miami that you don't want to ever do. You know, if you haven't been jumped and beat down by a bunch of people before, or, you know, had your friends fucking shoot themselves, or, you know, people trying to run you over with a car. If you've never done these things, you haven't experienced America in a large city. America in a large city is fucked up. Maybe in the middle it's okay. Maybe in a small city it's okay. You don't have to play that. You don't have to live in the Wild West. The best defense is not a bulletproof vest, is not knowing the difference between concealment and cover, which I'll explain in a second. It's distance. And anybody that studied martial arts will tell you the best defense is distance. Run, okay? Now, when's the best time to run? When the bullets are flying? Or when you look at the stats on the website that goes, hey, look, this country's fucked up. Move, right? If you don't think you can fix it, try and fix it from the outside. Fucking go someplace safe. Move to Australia. It's great. Everyone's super nice. Speak English, you know? Like, go someplace better. And then when you vote with your ass and you vote with your dollars and you move to countries that are better, you don't have to get bullets in you and your friends and your family and your loved ones. You know, wearing a bulletproof vest is extremely hot. You try and do that shit down in Florida, you'll fucking melt to death. And it doesn't cover your legs or your face. So if you get shot in the head or the legs, you ain't gonna be a very happy dude. And it doesn't cover the people you're with. So you could wear all the vests you want, and now your girlfriend's getting shot in her fucking skirt. It ain't great, buddy. It ain't good. And no amount of training, you know, I used to do scenario shooting, and you know how to reload behind cover, know the difference between concealment and cover. Bullets go through almost anything. Cinder blocks, bullets go right through them. You know, if you're behind a block wall, that wall takes a few hits, now you're hit, right? So unless you're behind the engine block of a car, or surprisingly a tree trunk, tree trunks are serious shit. Can't shoot those. You need like armor-piercing 50 BMG to get through a tree trunk.
So, Richard,
Yeah.
you're not in the US now, and you say that, you know, the US is not very safe, and there's a lot of crazy things going on in big cities. Europe is safer. What about the cultural difference and just the difference when it comes to viewing gender, viewing relationship between man and woman, and all of these subjects that Jordan Peterson talks about? Because I want to focus on him.
Jordan Peterson's right about almost everything except Christianity. So Jordan Peterson is right about men being men, women being women, hypergamy, which means that women tend to try and date up socially, which is why girls date older guys. Guys choose reproduction, which is why we care about hip to waist ratio, to ass to titties, you know what I'm saying? And women in general tend to care more about you know, peer group, social programming, emotional quality, and power, strength, defense, right? So a woman is smaller and weaker and slower. She needs defense more than we do. We can't breastfeed kids. We need reproduction more than they do, right? Also, you know, it takes a girl 9 months to pop out a kid. It takes a dude 15 minutes to help make that happen. So we're programmed to, as guys, have a lot of sex with as many hot people as possible, and for girls to be very choosy, because back before contraception, which is maybe only, you know, 100 or 1,000 years old, depending on which culture you lived in, the dude you're messing around with could be a fifth of your life now. That kid now is, you know, half of your child having years right there. If you have a 40-year window where you can reliably have kids, then 20 of them just got smoked on that dude that you got drunk around, right? So girls are meant to be more choosy. Men are meant to be more promiscuous. And it works, and the system works, and a lot of people don't like that it works. A lot of people don't like that that's how things are. They wish everything was equal, and there is no such thing as equality. Two rulers are not equal. You're just so shitty at measuring you can't tell. They're not the same weight. They don't have the same wood grain. They have actual difference in length. One is more humid than the other. It has swollen more. There is no such thing as equal. Equal is just people that are bad at measuring. So you have to to get with the way the world really works, which is that equality is weakness, not strength. Specialization is strength. That's why you don't have 11 quarterbacks on your football team. You have one quarterback, right? That division of labor allows a synergy. The fact that men and women are different, and not just different in their abilities and in their desires, but in their behaviors, that allows us to work so well together. If we both wanted to go out and hunt and play, cops and robbers and Indians and cowboys and shoot and kill, and that's what we were both focused on, we'd have too much food and the kid would be dead because no one's taking care of the kid back at home. It's not mobile, just sits there, eats and shits and whines for years. Someone has to take care of that kid, right? So we need a division of labor, and it just pisses so many people off that reality has decided that humans have sexual dimorphism, which is the difference between male and gender, like so many other creatures, and it works for all of those creatures. We're just animals, and we happen to be smart and we happen to talk, but you shave a monkey and it kind of looks a lot like somebody you might know, right? You need to understand that we're human animals, and that animals have ethics too, and religion isn't what created them. The game theory made successful behavioral patterns occur. So back to Jordan Peterson, he's right on gender, he's right on forced language use, he's right on the risks of terrible social systems such as socialism, Marxism, destroying the intelligent, destroying the successful, making everything worse. He's right about all that stuff. He's wrong on Christianity being the best form of games that win all games, right? The hyper game theory. Christianity, unfortunately, is being outperformed by Islam on onboarding new users, is, not able to keep its own internal politics in check, which is why there's hundreds of factions, because the story wasn't good enough to prevent people from arguing it over so much that they had to leave and not be near each other anymore. There's no frequently asked questions. What's the age of consent? Not a hard question. When can you bang a hot chick? Is it 18? 20? 16? What is it? Can you put that in the book, please, so that some people don't have to go to jail, right? Hey, how much can somebody drink before consent's no longer valid? I don't know. Maybe put that in the book, right? So all these questions that should be in the book, they're not there because it was a poorly written book, written thousands of years ago in a language you don't understand, translated in conflicting ways, with conflicting stories. There's not even 10 commandments. There is no 10 commandments. There's 2 sections of the book where commandments are given. There's 13 statements in one, some other statements in another. Different religions group them into different sets of 10. And most of them are redundant. Like, I am the one God, the true God, thou shalt have no others before me. It's like, yo, I'm cool. Okay, we get it, you're cool. You shall have any graven images. Okay, we get it, you're cool, dude. We get it, you're cool. It's mostly just dude talking about himself, like Mimi rap, like the 10 commandments. It's poorly fucking written, right? And shit like do unto others as they'd have them do unto you. What if you're a sadist and you're into that shit? What if you like a good smack across the face when you're not acting right? That shit doesn't apply, right? So it's a poorly written system. It's a poorly written book. I tried to do better when I wrote Scivive, which I hope one day will be a belief system which gives people better results and better behaviors, right? It's just hard to bootstrap a new thing. All the cool symbols are taken. The plus sign's taken. The star's taken. The curve's taken.
So you're writing your own version of the Bible, of some kind of belief structure that you want to introduce.
Yeah, it's done. I mean, it's there's 500 pages there, and it contains everything you'd want to know about, how should you dress, and how should you stand, and who should you talk to, and what kind of business should you go into, and how should you market it, and what do good employees look like, and how should you treat your family, and how can you memorize stuff better, and when should you brush your teeth, and how should you lift weights. It's all there. It's just not
how can I find it if I want to read?
Just Google Scivive. Scivive, like survive through science. Scivive.
Yeah.
So the point is, like, if you make a lot of money in crypto and your grandparents die and your parents die and then you die, what exactly do you get done? You could have invested in having healthier, longer lives by investing in medicine. You still would have got rich, but the shit you were investing in might have saved you instead of killed you. You could have bought stocks in alcohol and tobacco companies and gaming companies, which all destroy human consciousness, or you could have bought stocks in things that help human consciousness, right? My mission, my goal isn't to just make more money. It's to make more money so that I can try and save my family, my dog, myself, and put money where it works better. Like if I had 10x more money right now, I'd be eating the same food. I'd be doing the same stuff. The 10x isn't going to change my life.
And what about the live extension project you were doing before? Because before BitcoinHEX, you actually had another coin you were working on.
Well, yeah. So the CFD token was what I was working on. It was just too damn hard because I had to do almost everything myself. I didn't really have qualified people to help me out with the things. And then I thought, man, the market cap on currency is bigger. The time to market is shorter. I could just have a more profitable, more useful project faster. I still think distributed computing with useful proof of work instead of useless proof of work is still awesome. And I would still love to do it. It just needs to happen after BitcoinHEX. And to tell you the truth, I've been reminded about other great ideas I've had that are even more important than distributed computing. Right now, if you wanted to invest in a green fund that made you rich while it helped the environment, that option's available to you. But if you wanted to invest in a fund that saved your assets, your ass saved you, you don't have that option, all right? So you could try and invest in biotech, but what if they invest in malaria? You ain't getting malaria. Is it helping you? What if they invest in sickle cell anemia? If you're not African American or African, it's not helping you. So if we had a fund, a greedy, save people like me and people that I like, and we could talk to each other and have fun times together and shit like that, there's no place that you can invest in that's biotech that does that. That's like, yo, we're going to invest in stuff that makes you rich and might save your ass or your family's ass. That needs to exist. And these old rich guys like Steve Jobs and the Waltons well, Steve Jobs lost the game, by the way. He died very, very rich. You're 80% likely to die of heart disease and cancer. 8 out of 10, okay? Go look in your family tree, see what killed everybody. It wasn't bows and arrows, wasn't the zombies, wasn't the Russians. It was boring ass cancer and heart disease. That shit's coming for you. And you can either invest in the technology to fight it that would help your family and your loved ones and the rest of humanity forevermore, or you can do the more selfish thing, which is just diet and exercise, which just helps you, not helping anybody else, right? You can do both, even better. We need more people working on fixing humans. Human consciousness and human beings are the most rare and important things in the entire universe. Without us, there's no such thing as importance at all. Our existence allowed importance to exist as a thing. If you want to do the right thing in life, all the money that you make needs to go into, at some point, saving your own fucking ass, because you're going to need that medicine. You're going to be laying on that bed, getting some shitty injection in your spine or some terrible thing that, if some rich dude 10, 20 years earlier had put his money where he should have, you might not have had that experience, right? Like treating cancer with radiation and chemotherapy, just fucking up the cells and hoping they get better on their own, is so much shittier than retasking white blood cells to do what they're used to doing all day. Finding shit in your body that doesn't belong and killing it. That's what your white blood cells are good at. So CAR T therapies and retasking your immune system to clear those cancers and bullshit like it would so many other problems is infinitely smarter than irradiating you and hoping that you survive slightly more than the cancers do. And then you don't die the whole way and the cancers die more than you did. And so then you survive. It's fucking barbaric.
Does crypto help? Because you had a token that you wanted to create a token that could help that. How can we use blockchain in order to solve big issues such as this issue?
There's not really a product market fit. Blockchain only solves two things. Man's relationship to government, with governments printing currencies out of their ass and not having to get the consensus of the governed so they can go to war for free because they just print the money. If you actually had to tax people to go to war, we'd have a lot less war because motherfuckers would be like, no, I'm not paying for that. But the fact that they can just print the money without asking for permission means we're at war all the time and spending money all the time on shit that's stupid because they don't have to get the permission of the fuckers that really have to pay for it, the people, right? Bitcoin and crypto can fix that. So fixing man's relationship to government is awesome. Censorship resistance is okay. It's nowhere near as good because most shit just doesn't get censored. Most things don't get censored. The amount of speech that's economic or otherwise that gets censored is a small portion of total speech. So, preventing wars is a better actual use case for crypto than censorship resistance is. Other than those two things, crypto is fucking useless. It's just a store of value pretty much that appreciates a lot over a long time frame, which is very good. I like that. But for actual use case in the real world, like, oh, we're going to move data around better. No, you're not. Faster. No, you're not. More efficient. Nope. You got the slowest database that writes sometimes, doesn't write other times. Bit rots data when there's a fork. If you don't know which fork is the right one, that data is just fucking gone, which is bit rot in normal data storage terms. It's when data silently disappears and you only notice it when it's too late to fucking recover. If you want to use crypto and tokens to generate the money to help fund longevity and medical research, then you have to basically play the, oh, this is world changing. I hate that people keep falling for that shit. The dApps are empty. We need bigger blocks. No, motherfucker, the blocks are empty. We need distributed. No, distributed is always worse. It's always worse. The only thing distributed is ever better at is censorship resistance. It's more expensive, slower, shittier in every possible way. If what you're doing doesn't need censorship resistance, you don't need a goddamn blockchain.
And so, Richard, you talked about the fact that nowadays governments can go to war without taxing people. They have invisible tax, there is inflation, and you say that cryptocurrencies will solve that, and that is a use case for blockchain. But previously we talked about the fact that they can just write a simple law and forbid all cryptocurrencies. So will this even happen?
Well, they're on the team. I mean, governments, when people are smart enough to vote with their feet and their ass and move to better countries, then countries tend to compete on offering their citizens better lives through more efficient governance and better policing and better laws and more reasonable laws and lower taxes and more efficiency. But when people don't vote with their ass or with their voting, then shit just gets fucked up and stays fucked up. So a country that adopted fast middleman-less payments will tend to outcompete countries that didn't. And this isn't the sole purview of cryptocurrencies. You know, the United Kingdom has something called faster payments, and they're really fucking fast. And the United States has increased the speed at which the NACHA, the National Association of Czech something, I can't remember. It's basically the people that are in charge of how fast ACH transfers occur in the United States. They're very fast now. I think they're same day. So we have same day banking in a lot of places, and you know, at some point you get diminishing returns as things get faster and faster, right? Like when you get paid at the end of the week, would your life really be better if you got paid in the middle of the week? Not really, right? As a matter of fact, if you got paid in the beginning of the week, your ass would probably get lazy and not show up to work anymore. It'd probably end up worse for you because it would amplify your desire to fuck up, right? Which is the reason everyone gets paid on Friday, not Monday, because people stop showing up. What was the question?
Well, it was the fact that you know, they can just ban the crypto space entirely.
They can't ban it.
Still
they can just cripple the fuck out of it, but they won't because they'd prefer it work because it offers them benefits, right? Like there are efficiencies to it. The government listed Bitcoin on the largest market that the world has ever had. It's on the CME. The CME does more volumes than any other market that's ever existed in human history. It's on there. So it's obvious they're not interested in banning it because they fucking approved it and stuck it on there. So I don't think talking about government bans in countries that are democratic is useful. We have seen bans of some parts of the ecosystem in China, Venezuela, perhaps Iran, and those countries do fucked up shit all the time. So like, I don't think government bans are happening. I don't think they're worth talking about.
Something that people are very, very curious about is IOTA. We discussed IOTA last year. Yeah. Many people have quoted your words many times since then. There are many GIFs, many memes, and they have some updates. They have open source their coordinator. They have some wallets coming out. What is your updated view on IOTA?
Yeah. The number of messages that I get, hey Rich, what do you think about XYZ shitcoin? Exceeds the amount of time that if I cared to learn about shitcoins all day long, to evaluate them all. The question you have to ask yourself is, how many strikes do you want to give something And why does something that's been the worst thing ever deserve a look at again over other things that haven't fucked up yet? There's a lot of other projects that haven't done terrible, horrible things. Why don't they get looked at first? So if you did things like have a wallet that wasn't wallet, steal everyone's money because you had to, because your shit was so broken, have all your users or some large portion of them get hacked with fake wallet generators because your shit wasn't even smart enough to generate its own wallet. Like, if you did so many things wrong and then you fix some of them and your shit's better now, it's still a giant fuck you. Like, you don't, it's like if a girl you're dating fucks your dad, you gotta be like, you know, you may stop fucking my dad now, but you did do that shit before, so I'm gonna still have to not date you, right? There's just unforgivable things. I don't give a fuck how many improvements they've made. I just don't care. It's not, there's so many other consensus networks out there. Maybe they unfuck their wallet a little bit. Maybe they unfuck their consensus a little bit. Maybe they're working their way towards federation. There's a lot of other people that are already been doing that for years. Like, why would I give a fuck? I think it's a big issue with your audience because there was like a Scandinavian founder on there and you're Scandinavian, and then now, oh, we all got our bags. The Scandies all got these bags of fucking IOTA. Got to pump that price, baby. I don't think it's a big issue or Bitcoin in most other locales. Just seems big in that area.
You know, I don't think that IOTA is especially big in Scandinavia. It's more of a global thing. And I think IOTA has one of these communities that is very defending. And whenever someone talks shit about IOTA, they always defend. And, you know, generally in Scandinavia, people are not that into crypto. And also there is very, very few people actually living here. The populations are not that huge. So in absolute numbers, I would guess that the majority of people that support IOTA that are interested are in the US and then in United Kingdom. And
it could be
just like my channel, mostly from the US, United Kingdom, Australia. And so what coins do you like? Last time you mentioned Byteball. Now you're mentioning BitcoinHEX, of course, because you are creating BitcoinHEX. What else?
Well, it's not just because I'm creating it. It's literally got the best game theory I could possibly come up with. And I've been asking for almost a year for any improvements anyone could possibly think of. And the voices are empty. I literally can't think of a thing that would make that token better. It's the best I can think of from game theory perspective. I think Monero is great if you want to spend money anonymously. I think Bitcoin's great if you like something that loses price slower than all the other cryptos. Yeah, the price is fucking terrible, but the difference between a coin that's down 80% and 90% is that the 90% down coin dropped in half from when it was only down 80%. And losing an extra half sucks a lot. So, you know, as we get down into these higher, closer to 100% numbers, the human math is all fucked up. So you really need to look at it backwards. Like how many doublings do I need to get back to where it was? It's actually a website that you can use. I don't know if it's OnChainFX or some other site that shows you how many more doublings you need to get back to where your shit started. It helps you understand how fucked you are. Because 85% down doesn't sound as shitty as you need a 7x. It's just the same shit, right? So if we went from 20K down to 85% loss, you know, what's that, 3K? And so now you've got to get from 3K back to 20, so it's like 7x. 85% drop is a 7x you need to get back up. That's fucking terrible. Good luck on your 7x, right? So it's smart to look at the inverse to understand how fucked you are more rationally. So Monero, Bitcoin. Here's the problem with Ethereum. I'm using Ethereum because it's very affordably allowing me to do trustless, censorship-resistant things in an ecosystem that's already spent hundreds of millions discovering where the bugs are. So I don't have to be the guy to find them. That's a use case that's not on offer on any other blockchain. So as a person using a blockchain, it's great because I'm actually building a crypto and using something that's awesome. I'm building crypto while other people are talking about it. I'm fucking building it. All a crypto is some game theory for monetization shit and censorship resistance. That's all it is. And if the censorship resistance is already handled, it's all about the game theory. That's the only difference between one crypto and another is the game theory. If everything is censorship resistant, everything is trustless, right? For the most part. So Monero, Bitcoin. So Ethereum's great as a user, and all the dApps failed, so the fees are cheap. Great. As long as they keep their hash rate up, fabulous. All these dApps can keep sucking and failing and keep my fees cheap. But for the actual currency itself, these people that raised all that Ethereum are going to continue to sell it to buy runway for their failed projects until they're out of money, is what they're likely to do. Or they'll just exit scam and give up on the project and then just sell the shit anyway to buy hookers and coke or whatever. Either way, it's not bullish for the Ethereum ecosystem. So I'm not bullish at all on the Ethereum price. I do like to use the network for my project, but it won't positively affect the price of the underlying at all. My project's based around storing value, which means very low transaction volumes, which means not a lot of fees for miners, which means no money for the Ethereum network. So it's nice of them to have so many people investing in hash rate to make my project work great, but I'm not going to return the favor and actually give their network any value. Welcome to open source. Welcome to reality, right?
And your coin is ERC20.
Yep.
Or you're using some other standard.
That's
because
it.
people were asking if they can have it on a hardware wallet, but
Yes,
I guess they can, as
Yes, they
any
can.
other ERC20 token.
Yep.
Right, Richard. Do you have any other interesting topics to discuss? Because I've covered my topics that I really wanted to bring up with you. Oh yeah, I see another thing in the chat. What about Cardano, Charles Hoskinson, and their project?
From what I've heard, it's all vaporware. There's nothing you can actually use. So
currently not. Yes. And it's interesting that still it's top 10, at least top 10 coin.
I just hate the fact that everyone can take an idea that's dumb and then make billions of dollars. Like, I'll tell you a story. I've met a lot of EOS guys. They're all very nice people. Very nice people. Block One came along and it's like, yo, we're going to do Ethereum, but better. Just like Tezos did, and just like Cardano, just everybody. They're like, yo, we're going to do Bitcoin, but better. We're going to do Ethereum, but better. My one's Bitcoin, but better, by the way. So everyone comes along and they're like, yo, we're going to do this thing that's better. You give us your coins that are worth value now, okay? Give us your Ethereum, give us your Bitcoin. Cool. And then we're going to give you these stupid fucking things that have no value at all that we just printed in the back room there. Joe, we got another couple trillion? Okay, bring out another trillion for this fucking noob here. Okay, the trillion come out, and you get the real money, and you give them the fake money, okay? And then they just leave, and they dump those bags. And then if you were still having some of your real money, they dump the value of your real money, right? So let's say you gave them half of your Ethereum to buy your EOS shitcoin, and now the EOS dumped it all. Well, now the shit you didn't give them was worth less too, because they already dumped the other half that you gave them. So now what do they got? They got a bunch of volunteers making their shitcoin worth more when they raised multiple billions of dollars. Like, why does a company that's raised billions of dollars need fucking volunteers for anything? What? Because they can. Because people are so stupid. They're like, yo, we'll trade you real money for fake money. And then that's what they do. And so from the game theory perspective, what is the ideal profitable behavior for these entities, these ICOs, that have raised shitloads of real money and dumped it? Is it to actually do the work and fulfill on their project? Or is it to just launch a new project? How many different projects has Dan Larimer launched? BitShares. I think EOS is his thing too.
Yes.
How many projects has Homeboy launched? Well, how does he keep having time to do new shit when the old shit don't work right? How about you just stick with the old shit, homie? Like, you got everybody's money. Like, get to work, motherfucker. Right? So this idea that people are so fucking stupid that they'll buy Ethereum 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, Bitcoin 2.0, 3.0, 5.0, it's absurd to me. I hate it, particularly when no one uses any of this shit. So if you need more throughput in your unused fucking blockchain, I think you're stupid, and I don't think that's where we need. I think we need adoption, and I think we need better stores of value. So my project does that shit. It stores
What
value
about
better.
what about XRP? Because I've heard from some serious people that banks are not actually using XRP.
No, they're not.
And
They can't.
XRP
It's not.
XRP itself is not useful for the Ripple ecosystem. What is your view on that? Because many people do believe XRP is also one of these ecosystems and the communities that are very, very protective, and they will
Everybody protects their
under
bag,
this
bro.
video for sure. What is your view on that? Do you know how XRP is used, or is it not used?
Yeah, I do. I know exactly how it's used. People buy it in exchange and they wait for the price to go up. And then the price goes up really high and they feel really rich. And then the smart people dump on their fucking heads and they watch the price go down and they hold their bag and they wait for the next top and then it doesn't come. And then eventually the pain comes so much that they saw it a loss. And that's why every shitcoin has the same chart. All shitcoin charts are the same. Death for months. Oh my fucking God, it's happening. Death for months. Every chart the same, particularly Ripple's chart, right? Because there is no adoption. No one is using this shit. And why would they? Like, why? Like, why would anyone use that shit? People, you know how much it takes to send a wire transfer? It takes like $30. Maybe it costs $50 to send as many hundreds of millions as you want. You want to send a fucking $1 billion wire transfer? It costs $30. Do you know what it costs to send a $1 billion wire transfer in fucking a crypto? When that order hit the order book, you crash the market. If you try and do a $1 billion wire transfer, market does not give a fuck, and it costs $50. If you try and send $1 billion of crypto somewhere, the market crashes as soon as your order hits the book. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, it's retarded. But people want to buy the thing that's going up. So Ripple went up, and their pool of idiots is different than other pools of idiots. So in Bitcoin, we have libertarians. I'm mostly libertarian. And then in Ethereum, we have like soy boys. And then in Ripple, we have people that are missing parts of their brain and just fucking like, they're not all there in the head. And everyone's got their vertical, right? Some people want to buy the scale. Some people want to buy the bank meme. Some people want to buy the fucking digital gold meme. Everyone's got their meme that they're into, right? This is like when you go on a porn site. How many different genres are on that shit? Old, young, fat, small, dark, light, fucking backwards, inverted. People turned inside out. It's actually a thing. They want all the fucking variations, and choosing your bag of crypto that you hope to get rich on is very similar. Whatever bullshit it was that you fell for or your buddy made a lot of money on, that's what you're buying.
Finally, by the way, I see some people asking about Resistance. We'll talk about Resistance later on, guys. It is another project that is not yet revealed. But final question that I also saw in the chat, Richard. What about your friend, girlfriend, whatever she is, Julia? Many people are interested. You had some success on your channel with with Julia.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, the content that I put out and the things that I say, I like. And I think that they are thought leading, and that this will be the first time that you've heard many of these things, because I came up with the ideas and then I said them first and then I popularized them. Thought leading does actually exist. If you're at the edge of something and you understand it better than other people and you make insights, then you popularize them. It's useful. That's how new knowledge gets created and spread. But the follower counts are so pitifully fucking sad and small. Like, I have 50K on Twitter and 35K on YouTube. That's dog shit, right? If I made a keyboard review channel, I could get more. If I made a sock review channel, I could get more. If I just like smoked weed every morning, which I think I've smoked weed twice in my life, very unlikely I'd be doing that, I would get more hits and more views and shit. So if you care about impact and you care about reaching millions of people, because so many others are, and you have good things to say, it is fucking pitiful and tragic to have it restricted by a gate of only 35,000 subs. So I thought, all right, well, fuck. If you've done this for a year and it ain't working, you gotta try different shit, right? So I'm like, all right, all my audience is dudes, 99% dudes. Dudes like titties. Let's get some nice titties on this show. So I had a nice girl named Julie, friends with. I said, all right, throw a bikini on. We'll just talk about whatever. And then,
so how did you explain it? Did you just say, hey, I have a crypto channel. Do you want to be
share a
half naked
channel.
on the
Like,
show?
we do a video if you want. Girls love followers and views and shit, so they like to be out in public, and it's not hard to get people on your channel if you want to do stuff. Any people. but I just lost followers, lost subscribers, lost followers, ate a lot of shit for it because I don't know why. I thought the content was very good. You know, I talked about things with her I'd never talked about with anyone else before. It was new and interesting content, and you know, had a dollar cost average in, and you know, a lot of stuff about relationships. No one gave a fuck. I lost viewers and subs over it. So I'm like, all right, cool. I tried the experiment and it didn't work, and I'm not going to do it again. So you guys that like bikinis, you're going to have to watch other channels, not mine, because I'm not doing that again.
What is the future for Richard Hart? Because as I understand, BitcoinHEX is just something that you're going to launch and you're not going to work with it continuously. So what are you going to do?
I would like to, after Hex is successful, I would very much like to get into the Save Your Assets Fund, the Save Your Ass Fund. The thing that when you invest in it, you'll still get rich, but that what you're building and investing in might save your fucking life or your kids or your families, because it's an underserved market and it's the only stuff worth investing in. So that would be ideal. So the Scivive book, it's been through one phase of edit. I'll probably finish that. There's a toss-up between whether I finish the Scivive book or launch the Save Your Ass Fund. Those are the things that would come after BitcoinHEX. So it's Scivive book, Save Your Ass Fund, distributed computing, useful proof of work. Those are the things after Hex that I'm interested in. The only three things. And the ones that might save my life isn't the distributed computing one.
So Richard, the stream actually broke. I heard that you're going to do the book, and then I didn't hear nothing.
So the Scivive book, the Save Your Ass Fund, and distributed computing with useful proof of work instead of useless. But here's the problem with that, right? If people stop mining for shitcoins, which is all mining is, then you're not going to get as much useful proof of work done anymore because you're not arbitraging the hype value. And then it's very hard to reward miners. Like if you had to reward miners for the actual value they're providing, you wouldn't be able to make any money because they're not providing much value, right? Like they're just like a shitty AWS, right? They're like an AWS that you can only ask less complicated questions because they have less RAM per machine, right? And higher latencies. So I think the Save Your Ass Fund and the Scivive book and more kind of intellectual dark web, Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, Eric Weinstein, Peter Thiel, who doesn't produce as much content as he should, fabulously smart. That would be a better place to spend my life because the money is not changing anything.
Right, Richard. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you everyone who has watched us live. Please leave your comments in the comment section what you thought, if you agreed or if you disagreed with anything that we've discussed.
I got one other thing I'd like to add.
Yes, one final thing, Richard.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Go to bitcoinhex.com. Throw your email in there. I've never emailed the list ever. In a month and a half, you should be able to claim some coins. Can't be free money. Ivan's awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. Follow him on Twitter. Follow him on YouTube. He's got way more subscribers than I do. I think he's got like 4 or 5x as many I do. He actually does shows all the time, right, on programming and such. He's on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. And I got 5,000 people sitting around talking crypto all day on my Telegram channel. Got a price calls channel. You know, you'll see it.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you very much, guys. See you all very, very soon. Goodbye, goodbye.